Thank you very much, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm Susan Hutchison, and I have the immense honor of being the chair of the board of the Women's Foundation. Before getting started on our facts and myths session, I'd like to take a moment to thank Sandra Leung, our moderator today. Your personal commitment to the Women's Foundation and also the incredible support from HKEX means the world to us, so thank you so much for that. Now, looking out into this room, I see a diversity of faces, viewpoints, and a diversity of life experiences. We have attendees and panelists from business, government, the non-profit sector, women's networks, and academia. We have people of all ages. And I'm heartened by this diversity because gender equality is a complex issue, an intersectional one, if I can use a word that's been in increased use in recent years. Women and men experience the world through our gender, yes, and also through our ethnicity, income, and educational status, and sexual orientation, and so much more. My own life experiences as a woman who was blessed with educational opportunity and a mother who pushed me to know no limits, and a work environment that values my skills is simply not the same as a woman my age working the night shift at 7-Eleven, for example, and who may have been passed over from promotion time and time again, or given less favorable working hours in favor of a younger man. Only by valuing a diversity of lived experiences can we set priorities that truly work for and positively impact the men and women, boys and girls in Hong Kong. This means being open to realizing that our assumptions, our preconceived notions, may not all be true. Some of us may even believe, based on our own assumptions and life experiences, that Hong Kong is a gender-equal society. Let's delve into some of these facts. According to our latest research, Hong Kong's gender pay gap is 22%. Not only is this wider than a decade ago, it is also wider than Singapore, our most often compared regional city, which is at 13%. For the lowest wage earners in Hong Kong, the gender pay gap can be as wide as 40%. Women make up 85% of single parents living in poverty. These women go hungry so their children can eat a little more, live in housing that can be hazardous to their health, and lack the training and opportunities they so desperately need to pull themselves out of poverty. One of the assumptions that many of us may bring to the table is that Hong Kong is an easy place for working women because of the availability of migrant domestic workers, or helpers, as we say. In fact, only 11% of Hong Kong households employ a domestic helper. And you can guess which households they are the wealthiest. Lower income households struggle to find high-quality childcare and elder care. Whilst helpers are a godsend to Hong Kong's working elite, they are also highly vulnerable themselves to exploitation and abuse, given the isolated nature of their work. Childcare is an issue that has undergone much debate for years in our city. Elder care is an important conversation that we're just starting to have. And thanks largely in part to TWF's tremendous recent report. If you haven't read it, the Elder Care Report, I suggest you do. Fantastic partnership with TWF, HSBC, and the University of Hong Kong. We're seeing that our society is aging. And just like childcare, elder care disproportionately falls on the shoulders of women. And why might this be? I have a two-word answer for you: gender stereotypes. Gender stereotypes view women as caregivers and in turn require women to take that second shift after their day job, put off their professional goals, or sometimes leave the workforce entirely. Caregiving work, and it is hard work, is either unpaid or paid poorly, and so much of it is called women's work. We say we value nothing more than our families, our parents and our children, but do our priorities as a society, as a city, actually reflect these values? 30% of Hong Kong women drop out of the workforce due to caring responsibilities. And as a person whose professional career is devoted to attracting and retaining top talent for my firm, I can tell you that's a scary statistic with many ramifications. In a study released by the Equal Opportunities Commission last year, over 50% of Hong Kong employers say they would not hire women with children. This number may sound impossible to those of us who work at large multinational companies, but the reality is that vast numbers of Hong Kong women, the majority, work for small and mid-sized companies who do not have the staff dedicated to implementing best practices in HR, diversity, or legal affairs. Just 13.5% of Hang Seng Index company directors are women, a shocking figure in a city teeming with talented female bankers, lawyers, and other highly educated professionals. Hong Kong lags far behind other global financial centers, with women comprising 32% of directors in the UK, close to 30% in Australia. Malaysia has 23% female directors, and Singapore outperforms Hong Kong with 15%. Gender stereotypes about who can be a leader, coupled with closed or traditional networks, contribute to the imbalance on boards, despite the many studies showing that female participation on boards has a positive correlation with stock price and return on equity. One of our major concerns at the Women Foundation is the fact that gender stereotypes limit young women's ambitions and block their entry to the jobs of the future. Research conducted by the Women's Foundation last year found that despite boys and girls performing equally well in STEM subjects in secondary school, Hong Kong boys are 4 times more likely to pursue a STEM-related degree or career. Gender stereotypes negatively impact men as well. Harvard Business Review reports that men who show sadness at work are thought of as less deserving of this emotion as compared to women. The few men who ask for family or parental leave are viewed as poorer workers and less likely to be recommended for rewards compared to their female counterparts. Men and boys who do not conform to these gender norms are at increased risk of violence and cyberbullying. And finally, Hong Kong is not immune to the problems that have come out of the shadows as a result of the global Me Too movement. 1 in 7 women experience sexual assault, yet 90% do not report. In the food and beverage industry, which primarily employs low-wage workers, a staggering 80% of women have been sexually harassed. Our city's laws and regulations on sexual harassment and assault are woefully out of date, and many are much too vague. So you may think my goal here was to overwhelm you or depress you. It's really not, I promise you. Rather, my goal is to prepare us for the work ahead, beginning with the excellent panels that we have this afternoon, where we're going to be discussing many of these issues in depth. In key areas, Hong Kong, Asia's world city, my very beloved home, is falling behind its global peers and its neighbors, and our common goal is to reverse that trend. Thank you, and I hope that you will leave today's event informed and empowered to initiate change.